This video is not made for kids. I mean, have you looked at this guy?
Enemies.
And so you have won the war, but with the leader of the enemy still at large, your home is in ruins and a state of unrest. One might wonder if the violence ever really ended. But amidst all this chaos, you do what you do best. Rebuild.
So, the Constructicons. The first combiner team in Transformers. Scrapper, Scavenger, Bone Crusher, Hook, Long Haul, Mixmaster all combined to form the mighty Devastator. I've personally grown up with the movie version of Devastator, warmed up to the two Constructicons in animated, which, hot take, I really liked them and the show did them dirty.
Because they don't deserve this. Nobody told them it was wrong to break in. They don't have a concept of anything. They were just born, and the moment they were born, they got their memories wiped. They don't deserve this. They're helpful people. They could be great people if you just gave them a chance.
It was only when the Skybound comics rolled around I truly understood how scary the guy was. But as of late, we haven't really seen much love for the combiners. I guess it's for good reason, because they're hard to animate and the movie Devastator is infamous for blowing up computers. A huge issue people have with the Constructicons, they all kind of look the same, as opposed to newer Decepticon combiner teams where each character kind of has their own personality. So, last week I took up the challenge to redesign one Constructicon a day, see if I can offer a fresh new perspective to the combiner team that started it all. And start it all we shall, so without further ado... What, did you expect the wheel to spin? No, I forgot to record it.
That's why we all love Long Haul! Look.
And our journey starts with the unexpected Long Haul. The challenge with Long Haul was that the movie design was already really good. He's just a big guy, and the kibble management was just really nice. So I was just confused. How am I supposed to improve this, or at least make something new that could equally create that effect? Then I got the idea to make him more turtle-like and give him the silhouette of a Megatherium. I mean, there are a lot of ways to design a big guy. An idea I had was to have it so his shoulder joint doesn't move outward, it just swings. Swings! Just to show that in robot mode he just kind of lifts stuff. Then I thought that would be kind of lame on a toy, so I gave him proper shoulders. Looking back, it probably would have been a nightmare for Devastator's posability. So I wrapped it up in a nice little bow, asked for some feedback, added some sprinkles, and here you go. Long Haul! I'm actually really proud of what I did for the head, because it was going to look more like Armada Scavenger, which was bad because that's what I imagined my Scavenger to look like. The back splits here, but I also made a version where it doesn't split. Personally prefer the latter. As for the lore, since he's the first Constructicon, I took the time to explain a bit more on who the Constructicons are. The concept of good and relatable Decepticons has always been fun, but has to be used sparingly. Still, it just made sense to ask, what if the Constructicons weren't fighters? What would their positions be like in the war? How different would they be from the soldiers? But I could only answer that with more members, and so we return to the wheel. As a quick aside, full readings of the lore will be uploaded in a separate video, so stay tuned for that.
Fate's a cool thing, ain't it?
The wheel RNG is gonna seem crazy, but trust me, this was just how it went. Overload never showed up in the movies, but from the concept art alone, you can tell they would have been a beast and an absolute horror to animate. That's the silhouette I went with at first, but then I tried to experiment with something else. Since the alt mode is an articulated dump truck, I figured that to contrast with Long Haul, Overload can wear the back like a power suit. If you notice, she's actually sitting on the tires. Midway through designing the head, I figured she could be an Empirata victim. For those who don't know, before the war, the Transformers government sucked. If you commit a really bad crime or you piss off the government enough, you get turned into a Cyclops with claws. Looking at the concept art, I thought I could also give her that backstory, but also at the same time, what could she have possibly done to piss off the government that badly? So I unfortunately had to scrap the idea. So gave her a third eye just because. Other than that, the lore was actually really easy to figure out. I kind of cheated and I wrote her lore after I finished drawing Long Haul, so I had a head start. Still drew her design the day after though. The lore asks the question if the Decepticons achieved what they wanted after they won. What were the consequences of the path they chose? Did they finally achieve peace through tyranny? Or did they create something far worse than what they swore to destroy? Even the design sort of reflects Overload's longing. Unlike Long Haul, the trailer is detachable because that's not part of her, that's not who she is, or who she wants to be. Yet it's sort of chained to her like it's a burden, and even after a whole war, she still denied the freedom she fought for. Well, that's a lot to think about. Keep in mind some of these lore bits might still be retconned. For what it's worth, I'm proud of these so far. Let's move on to the next one.
I can't let you do this!
I'm talking about how cons like Demolisher still don't know what peace is like, even after we ended the war.
It's funny, I immediately knew what silhouette to give this guy. I wanted to make him look scarred with injuries from fighting, and that scouter eye thing from Armada sort of has scratch or burn marks to show that his eye was lost in some kind of struggle, leaving a very rushed prosthetic as its replacement. Even the excavator's scoop takes place the arm he lost because the underlying idea is that Demolisher was a soldier, like in Armada, except even after he followed all Megatron's rules and trusted the war would end well, the world is still in ruins, and his brothers in arms were still as trigger-happy as before, maybe even disgusted at the mere idea of peace. And so, Demolisher joins the Constructicons, and despite all the misery and betrayal, he still cares about his friends. I always saw his character to be more empathetic compared to the other cons, especially Cyclonus. He's still the same silly sod you saw in Armada. Just listen to the way he talks.
Look, don't tell her I said anything. The Ramjack's really scary.
Oh my god, Ramjack was a nightmare! Okay, so at first I wanted her to just be called Rampage, then I read a comment and remembered Skipjack existed. Then I thought, wow, that's kind of lame. Especially since I knew exactly how to write Rampage, I wanted her to be the loudest one there. I wanted her to be the wild card of the team, and Skipjack wasn't a name that reflected that. So then I got the name Ramjack, which is okay. Takes both names and makes them unique, and this way, if I ever want to do the Predacons, I don't have to worry about the confusion with that Rampage. So, Ramjack was totally just gonna be the movie silhouette. That much was clear. Movie Rampage was just too much of a core memory for me. But I wanted to make Rampage more than just some random monster Bumblebee painfully dispatches, so I looked to Rampage's Revenge of the Fallen toy and oh,
Hello, Mama.
okay, but so far I'm having fun, right? Adapting movie Rampage in my own design, and the kibble so far is easy to work with, no issues with the transformation, and oh god, I have to work on the treads. Oh my god! Ah! There you go, Ramjack, so cool, she can do that, yeah. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Oh, it's Hightower. Ramjack should be able to explain what I feel about this one.
There's so many things to say about Hightower, and none of them are good! I hate Hightower!
This design is such a nightmare. Okay, so we all agree this design is insane, right? How did they just let this happen? Yeah, that's our Transformer, let's make toys of it. But after all this, I really can't blame them. At first, I wanted to put the crane in front of them and give them the weird roll bar thing in the original design, then I realized the placement of the crane was, unfortunate. So I went back to my previous design and decided it should work fine, but oh my god, it was not fun at all. I had to shrink the size of the crane because it was just too damn big, and there's so many pistons in different places, and it's just, where do I put those? I can't just break them off, the crane needs to stand! I'm not even gonna bother, here they are. The lore is that they're the ultimate rage baiter and cheats at cars because they're tall and can see everyone's hand. They have weird habits that confuse everyone. While I'm not satisfied with their design, I even did some extra silhouette tests just to see what else I could do, I am pretty proud of how I wrote their personality, or at least the foundations anyway. I love them. Just like Ramjack, Hightower is supposed to be the wild card character whose backstory isn't really as important as their personality. Like Longhaul's the big nice dude, Overload's the cynic, Demolisher's the heart, Ramjack's the wild card, Hightower's the rage baiter, and Mixmaster's the leader. So let's cut to the chase and get to him, shall we? My boy's actually wicked smart. Did I mention that I had to break my rule with Hightower and finish them on the same day I finished Mixmaster? Mixmaster was a breath of fresh air. Even though I just finished Hightower probably barely an hour before I started working on him, seeing an outlet that I can work with existing design references that don't look lobotomized gave me a sigh of relief. It's not just because I had good designs to work with, but I actually grew up with Revenge of the Fallen and Mixmaster. So like Ramjack, I wanted to adapt it in my style. So I wanted a round silhouette reminiscent of the animated Mixmaster while using the awesome shields from Revenge of the Fallen. No G1 influence, unfortunately. Though despite how proud I was of the silhouette, I had to adjust the proportions just a little because they looked a little too spindly. I wasn't happy with the Reg of the Fallen eyes and wanted to give him 2 eyes again, but eventually I settled on a compromise. So, Mixmaster, honestly his lore was kinda rushed due to the fact that it was also working on Hightower! But the idea is there, he used to work on chemical weapons during the war because that's what he was good at. Now he wants to move past and rebuild Cybertron, look to the stars and find something new to bring back home. And that's it! All 6 Constructicons. Definitely not missing out on anyone else important. I guess now we can move on to...
Alright, picture this. Your team wants to start doing honest construction services, but they're only known for a guy named Devastator.
Woo! What a ride! Devastator was one hell of a challenge. First combiner. Man, my hand hurts. Figuring out how the parts would combine and form into limbs was pretty damn hard, but I think I'm satisfied with what I have now. Overlord turning into a claw with wheels that work for punching, Rampage's legs turning into tentacles, and I had an idea it could be a drill too. And the head! Okay, so it didn't have that visor thing, but my friend suggested that I could totally do a G1 reference and make him look like he kind of has that visor. And I made it so Devastator has like an eye protector thing to protect his eyes from debris, I guess. But yeah, I love how his head came out. It's like a Dunkleosteus skull, especially with those drill mandibles. If there's anything I don't really like about this Devastator design, it's the colors. I mean, the inspiration from Revenge of the Fallen definitely looks super mismatched. It's just, I didn't think it would be to this extent. I was too busy trying to give the Constructicons personality, I forgot that the combiner had to actually look good. But maybe that's the point. See, the lore is that Devastator is the first Transformers combiner. Decepticons made the Constructicons turn into Devastator, and later on we get the Combaticons and maybe the Stunticons. And the idea is that every Constructicon hates turning into Devastator. Then you pretty much just avoid combining any chance that they get, leaving better combiner teams to overshadow them, and more power to those guys. Well, no, because the Combaticons and Stunticons are horrible people. From that, the Constructicons pretty much don't have to worry about being a combiner or making a combiner that looks good. Even the current limbs look super makeshift, because they're not even the original members. Still, it's worth keeping in mind in case I ever get to work on Bruticus. Quick aside, but shout out to Movie Dirt Boss, this thing rocks. Anyway, what you see is what you get. The monstrous Devastator, the first combiner. And so we come to a close. My idea is that after Return to Cybertron, there's a sequel called Attack on Autobot City, where this Devastator shows up in the Attack of Autobot City, in the first act of the film. But he pretty much disappears afterward because a lot of the Decepticons that arrive to Earth are sort of dealt with in a separate series, a la Clone Wars 2008. Some kind of Earthrise, yeah. For example, there is a story where Sunshrieker and Ironhide have to chase the Dreads, Crowbar and Crankcase, who escaped out of prison, where Sideswipe appears and actually joins the Dreads because, well, he switched sides, or where Prowl sends Ratchet to work with Lockdown on a mission showing just how cold of a character he is. All to support the main story of the movie where, you know, Optimus has to fight Megatron. The usual. Here, the story is that Bulkhead, Grapple, and Hoist are sent to intercept Decepticon sightings, where they're seen raiding a mining site or a forest because the Constructicons came to get new materials to study. So the three of them have to stop them from basically just waltzing in and stealing Earth's resources. Despite how sympathetic I've been writing them, they're still here to invade Earth. The Constructicons are still Decepticons. They believe that through strength and tyranny will progress be achieved. And this works as a sort of contrast between Bulkhead and Mixmaster and the other Constructicons who have very different beliefs. One asks for permission, and one does not. I just realized I'm an architecture student designing a bunch of civil engineers.